Skye, I just want to start off saying Matlock looks like a dream job for you. The whole cast looks like they're having a blast. How much fun are you having?
It should be illegal. Too much fun. I mean, you know, filming with the likes of Kathy Bates and Jason Ritter and David Del Rio and Leah Lewis and Emmy Walker and Oak Bridges, like it is a vision board come true. And this hiatus, we still hang out and we get to see the fans just go nuts over this show. And we cannot wait to get back on set to start shooting season 2 because we are just as excited as everyone else.
You've been very open, which is inspiring about your vision board and, the struggles you've had in this business. You didn't pursue acting until you were 28 years old. What was your path to this point? And then what made you decide I'm going to go for it?
I didn't have any struggles in this industry because I accept it for what it is. You have to be delusional to succeed in this industry. The second you start being realistic, then your expectations of how the industry is supposed to respond to you becomes your struggle. You know what I mean? But when you allow the fact that we are artists, we're paid to play make-believe. The make-believing doesn't start when they say action. It starts the second you decide to pursue this. And so in order for me to create that new reality that only lived in my head, I had to build a vision board. I had to see exactly what it is that I wanted to pursue. And it wasn't because, I had some kind of magic wand that I was going to seek out to find in Runyon Canyon under some rocks or some shit. It was the fact that it was going to call me out on my BS. Like, did I believe I deserved it? Really? Did I really believe I deserved it? And if I didn't, now what do I have to do to get to that feeling so that when I look at the board, I feel like I deserve it, right? So when I had that one line on that one show, and then I looked at this vision board of literally CBS procedural drama, I was like, okay. So I went and got some more roles, and I kept checking back in. Okay, Captain, you know what I mean? And that took 10 years of doing this. You know what I mean? And then eventually it got to the point where I was like, if they don't give me my role, where is it? Let me go find it. Let me make some calls. And then that's when the magic started happening, really, truly. And, there was never an agent who called me for an audition for any of my 2 series regulars. Didn't happen that way.
And now you're going toe to toe with Kathy Bates every week. So talk about working with that.
Kathy Bates she's not what I expected. I had put her on a pedestal like most who were fans of Kathy. I understood that she was a national treasure. I understood that she was iconic. And when I first met her, I wanted to bend the knee and say, "Your Grace." It was the weirdest thing. And then she reminded me very quickly that she is a woman from Memphis and she didn't come from money. And she was the underdog who booked Misery when she had to go toe to toe up against some names, just like I had to do for Matlock. She's so grounded and so real. And she's always a student, way more than she wants to be the teacher. She's way more the cheerleader than she wants to be the coach. The coach you just get by default. But her goal is to be supportive and to lift me up and the rest of the cast and the show and everybody involved. She knows every single background actor's name and every crew member's name. And she invited our second AD to an award show she was getting acknowledged for. You know what I mean? She's just living her life on purpose and not on entitlement or expectations on how we all should behave. And so I had to learn real quickly that the only version of me Kathy was going to get along with was my authentic self from Chicago, Illinois. And that's who I brought.
And she really wanted you. I mean, after that screen test, I I was at Paley Fest and she had mentioned, she turned around and said, "That's her, isn't it?"
Mhm.
And I know the creative team has been very receptive to the actors' ideas, and you all played a part in each other's casting. Is that true?
Yeah, it was definitely a collaborative, artistic experience. It was experiment, if you will, because a lot of like the higher ups, they maybe want like their number one and number two to, have chemistry reads, but for it to be like all the series regulars being able to, you know, kind of just play and then let the creative team decide from that. Having that on tape, I think was a massive advantage, and that's what the audience sees on screen is that chemistry.
And Olympia, that's such a strong name, Olympia.
Isn't it great?
Um, what do you enjoy most about this character?
Uh, Personally or professionally?
Oh, either.
Professionally, I just get to be this powerhouse, and she's still messy, and she's still connected to the culture, and she just moves with intention. She chooses her clients based off of, a heartfelt mission and not just, trying to bring in a bag of money. Granted, she gets that in class actions, but she's taking on clients that cannot technically afford her hourly rate, as she stated in the pilot, $1,000 an hour. And so I love that her mission is always to do good under the umbrella of this fancy law firm, but then also be able to deliver financially so that she can continue to make her way up the ladder. Personally, I get to hijack the Olympia character, and like I was going through a lot personally during the filming of Matlock. And if I wasn't filming, I don't think I would have processed my emotions around it. And so I would hijack the character. And it was a lot of life imitating art imitating life, going through losses and betrayal. And you get to see that, happen throughout season one with Olympia, not just with Julian and Shay and Senior pulling the Texas two-step, and Elijah, taking it out on my client because I ended things with him. But now you get to see this new wave with Matlock.
I mean, she is in sort of a messy position at times. I mean, she's working with her ex in her ex father-in-law's firm with another love interest that's also in the building. So there's a lot to chew on in that role, is there not?
Yeah, but she stays loyal to her client first. So whatever she's going through with Shay, that doesn't matter when I get inside of the Jacobson Moore doors. Client first, that's what I'm getting paid for. That's what's keeping the roof over my kids' heads. That's what's allowing me to wear these nice suits and to move up the ladder to partner. Get her done.
And what I also find interesting in the show is obviously the show's about Maddie, but really Maddie is in Olympia's world. I mean, Olympia's the boss. You have to have a presence for that. How do you channel that and make it known, I'm in charge here?
Well, I saw an interview not long ago that Kerry Washington did, and she said, as the supporting character on a show or a movie, you have to go into your story as the lead. I'm not worried about Madeline Matlock. I'm not worried about the scenes that take place in the Kingston home. None of that is any of my business. And so I go into the character Olympia as if I'm the lead of my show. I am the lead, and these are my supporting actors. And when I remind myself of that, that's where that vivacious energy, that gumption, that pace, the drive, I bring that to every single scene. And so therefore, it's kind of like, when you watch Breaking Bad, it was like, you're rooting for Bryan Cranston. Wait, no, you're rooting for Aaron. No, you're rooting for Brian. And you're just like, ah, right? And the lines are blurred as far as like, who's the protagonist? Like, what are we doing here? And so that's something that Kathy and I wanted. Kathy knew that Matlock was about two very strong leading ladies. and that is the real love story throughout season one.
The writing is like sneakily complex. I mean, we have like the recaps, and then you you see how things are going on behind the scenes that you may have not caught with your eye the first time watching. What do you love the most about getting those scripts every week, and the writing team?
I mean, I love the writing team because they're just so collaborative, and they're so nosy. And when I say nosy, I mean they'll just kind of be hanging around set, and then they listen to how we all get along because we all get along very well, and we're very goofy when we're on set. But they'll listen, like a fly on the wall, and the next thing three episodes in, you see something snarky or clever in the script that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And so like with Jenny Irvin, our showrunner, she had like a text of like Skye isms. And it's just like little things I would say. And even if something came to mind that I would say all the time, I would, share it with Jenny. And then next thing you know, I find it in the script. Outside of any of our input as far as like our characters and like try, to make it authentic to like who we are. Because I am a Black woman living in New York City. I worked corporate and I am a veteran. So Jenny already came with the genius, right? She already came with the genius. We're not putting icing on this cake. We're putting sprinkles on the icing, And so Jenny and her team, she recruited these radical visionaries that just can come together and make such fast-paced, complex writing. We have real lawyers in our room to make sure that we are as true as we can be for television. And then we do table reads still. There's a lot of shows that don't do table reads anymore, and so we get together as a team, and even our studio executives will come and we get to hear it out loud and introduce ourselves to our guest stars. And it just becomes, that way we're able to like kind of see like, oh, well, maybe we can. But yeah, Jenny and her writers are one incredible, collaborative, and ever evolving.
Did you have a favorite scene or episode this season?
Oh, that's so hard because it's like the first 6 episodes, I was like, no, sorry, the first 4 episodes, I was like, oof, pilot was my favorite. And then the first 6, I was like, you know what? Episode 6 was my favorite. The next thing you know, I'm like, actually, it's 12. That included Madeline's backstory. Now I'm like, Lord, that's 16. It's just they just get better and better. And I think that, I can see as talent on the show, I could see the chemistry. I could see us, the bond that we had in the real world. You see it now. You see us just in the pocket with each other. And that's what starts to evolve. The writing's always great. The directors are phenomenal. But it's the chemistry that makes, I think, every episode better than the last.
And that long arc throughout the season of the mystery. And what I love is that we just saw in the Johnson case that Olympia's onto Maddie. And I think, first of all, that says a lot about the writing because it's truthful. I mean, Olympia's smart and she's there for a reason. So if it was just going over her head the whole time, I feel like that wouldn't be necessarily believable. So what are you excited about now that these two maybe have some things to clash over?
I'm excited for, because the audience forgot, I think. I think they were so like enamored to like see how Madeline's going to find out who hid the documents that they forgot that they were rooting for a con artist. I think they forgot that Madeline can still get caught. And so that twist at the end of episode 16, everybody like, wait, what? Like they just didn't see it coming because Jenny and her writing team, they just put so much space in between. That was just brilliant. So when I read the script, I almost fell on the floor, honey. I was like, and then I got to have the flashback sequence that usually Madeline Matlock has at the end of every episode. It was just gorgeous. And 17 and 18, y'all are not ready. You're going to see how Olympia was raised by a Marine. Gloves are off. She's not playing any games. You're not going to just come in. I mean, we've already seen her get betrayed by so many people. And she let Matlock in through the crack of the castle wall. And she's going to pay for that.
Critics' Choice Award nomination. What was that like for you? as a spotlight on you, not just the show. I mean, Kathy also was nominated and won, of course, but like to get that recognition for yourself, what did that feel like?
Uh, I mean, it was one, it was, it's hard to say because, it's from the critics. And I was, brought up in this industry to like not read the critics, and so for it to come from, you know, journalists whose opinions I value, and I was never scared to read reviews. In fact, that's how I learn. I know how to take it with a grain of salt. And it was an honor to be recognized by them. That's what I felt mostly. I felt honored to be recognized, to be able to get past the ranks, if you will, because there's a lot of people who haven't had that acknowledgement. And I think for me, you go into Matlock with that leading desire of seeing Kathy Bates. And then I'm like, bing bong, hi. And then they're like, who's that? Wait a minute. Who's this Black lady? I never seen her before. And I'm like this like secret sauce on the burger that they're like, what's in the sauce? And they're like, we can't tell you what's in the sauce. Right. And it's just like, what? And and I think I took a lot of people off guard. Yeah, that you think you're coming in just to like see Kathy surrounded by some good acting. But you see Kathy surrounded by some phenomenal actors. And I'm glad that I was able to slide in there as the secret sauce. And people be like, this is really nice. Is this Turmeric? They don't know where I came from, what my name is. Like they're just all very curious. And so to get there and grab their attention and keep their attention has been a true honor. And I'm humbled by it.